Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday, and I'm coming at you with more metaphysics. So, before we get started, remember to go to the after show, which is on patreon.com/militant Thomist. Sign up for that, and then you can also get access to PDFs of the works that I've edited and republished, including SCOTUS and others. And what else do I do? Oh yeah. Go to it's in the description, but christianwagner.com slash I think it's shop, christianwagner.com slash shop, where you can get access to, well, you can buy my mug, which I don't have on my desk right now for some reason. Might be getting cleaned. And then also all of the books that I've reprinted. And then I know you out there, I'm speaking directly to you, person that is watching. You have forgotten all that Greek that you spent thousands of dollars on. So if you want that back, go to fluentgreeknt.com and learn Greek again, because they have an amazing, amazing thing going on there. And you can find more details about that at that link. So let's get right going. So I'm going to go like that. Okay. So this week we're going to be talking about the properties of being, and some people call it just generally the Transcendentals, but we'll get into why that's a bit of a misnomer, and it's just describing the whole by the part. Okay. Oh gosh, that's small text. I guess I'll just put myself down there. There you go. So so property, properly speaking, is going to be an accident which necessarily arises from the essence of a thing. So, for example, I am 6'1". That's my height. That is a property which is arising from my essence. So, in order for something to be a property, properly speaking, it must first have a necessary connection with the essence, which my height necessarily connects with my essence. And second, it must be really distinct from my essence from which it comes. And then my height is also really distinct from my essence, because it is a property which inheres in me. So since being is transcendent, the second condition of being really distinct from the essence, it cannot be met, because simply speaking, if you have something which is really distinct from being, it is not being. And if something is non-being, then it's nothing. So we don't speak of proper properties when we refer to properties, but we only speak of properties improperly. So it's only by some likeness to properties, because it's not really distinct. So when it comes to improper properties, so the properties we're going to be talking about in relation to being, or the properties of being, it must meet two conditions. So first, they are proper to every being as such. So every being must have these properties. And then second, while not really distinct, they are rationally distinct in our conception of being. So they must be in regard to every being, and they must be rationally distinct from being. So how can this be so? Because it seems like what I've just said, that you wouldn't have any properties, because everything that's not being is non-being, and therefore is nothing, because there would be no metaphysical underpinning to it. But based on the fact that while transcendental, being exists in a number of different modes, we can have multiple modes of conception when it comes to being. So again, these things are beings of reason, that is, beings which exist in the mind. So this can happen in two ways. So first, in a way which is not general to every being as such as substances and accidents. For example, the accident of my height is not proper to every being. There are people that are shorter and taller than me. There are things that are smaller or bigger than me. My substance. I have a immaterial substance of my soul, and I have a material substance of my body. Not every thing has a soul, and not everything has a body. There are angels and God and such. So those things, while everything has a substance and most things have accidents, It is not general to every being as such. So that's the first way in which we can speak of these properties. Now, the second category are in ways which are general to every being as such. And these are called transcendentals, or properly speaking, transcendental properties. And only these are properly called properties as existing from every being as being. Okay. So there are going to be five of these transcendental properties. And most of the time, you'll hear them described as truth, goodness, and beauty. But that's actually not exactly correct. But there's five properties: thing, unity, otherness, truth, and goodness. And then beauty is, we'll get into this a bit later of why beauty is not properly speaking a transcendental property. But we'll get into that later. As I said, it kind of flows from truth and goodness, and it's not properly speaking a transcendental property. So a property of being only arises from general modes of being, and being can arise either from being itself or a thing related to another. So we think about the mode of existence of a being. It can be where's my white monster can? Gosh, what else do I have? I have a Sacred Heart candle, so I have a Jesus candle. My Jesus candle, it can either be regarded as being as such, so the Jesus candle as such, or being in relation to another. So being in relation to my intellect, being in relation to my desires, being in relation to other beings. So this Jesus candle is not this glass. So it could either be being as such, as we consider it in itself, or being in relation to another being. So when we regard being in itself, we can speak of it as an affirmative manner. So this is a thing, and that is described as being existing in nature. So the fact that this has an essence, so being related in an affirmative manner. So um, everything, everything which is a being is a thing. So no matter what we describe that is a being, it is a thing. So that's a bit hard to construct that in language, but I hope you're getting what I'm saying. And then if we think about it in a negative manner, we have unity. That is to say, we negate division. So it's not two things, but rather it's one thing in our conception of it. And then second, we can consider being as relation to another. So as this Jesus candle is related to other beings, it is called other because it is not that being or not that being. I am not this Jesus candle. It is other from me, and I am this Jesus candle is not me. I'm other from it. So everything that's truly a being is related to other beings as other because it is not those beings. And again, that kind of breaks the conventions of language because necessarily when we describe beings, we're going to be describing them as things, and we're also going to be describing them as other things, not unified in the sense of being with other things. So yeah, that breaks the conventions of language, but you're just gonna have to stick with it. So then we can also speak as being related to the intellect. So the fact that I have an intellectual conception of this, the fact that I know this, then it's described as truth. Everything that exists insofar as it has being is said to be true because my intellect relates to it. And then also we can have being is related to appetites or desires. And then it's described as goodness. So everything insofar that it has being, it has goodness because it's related to my appetites. Okay. Now, when it comes to the distinction between the properties, so these properties are not really distinct from one another. Rather, they are only said to be rationally distinct from each other and from being itself. But this does not mean that they are identical with one another. That is definitionally the same, but they're distinguished via certain relations. So I'm not saying that I have really distinct over here. I have truth over here. I have goodness over here. I have thing over here. I have unity over here. I have otherness. No, but they are rather just properties of the single being related to outside things or regarded in itself. So there's not these separate categories that they fit in, but rather it's just descriptions of relations that they have to others. And then there's a certain ordering that the tradition has between the properties of being. So the first concept, obviously, as all of the other properties flowing from it, is being, since all the other properties are said to flow from being. And the second concept is thing, since it expresses being as having an essence. The third concept is unity, since it expresses being as absolute and not divided. And then the fourth concept is otherness, because now we go outside of it, and not considering it as such, since it expresses being as being divided from other beings. And then the fifth concept is truth, and the last concept is goodness, since truth comes from being as being. Um, so simply being, while goodness comes from being as attracting. And then second, this can be further seen from the order of the faculties, so that the intellect is higher than the appetites. So is truth, which relates to the intellect, higher than goodness, which is related to the appetites. Okay, that's all I have for you guys. Remember, if you want the after show, I think I'm going to be going from I'm going to be explaining a text from De Veritate. Then go to patreon.com/Militant Thomist. Become a patron to get access to that. And then at 6 o'clock, I might put it off a little bit because might put it back to 6:15 or 6:30 because I still have to finish a few notes. I will be talking about faith, works, and Catholicism. So thank you and God bless. Actually, it's Lent. Do penance, for the kingdom of God is at hand.